Before you watch this video, don't forget to like and subscribe to Social Media Jaman TV, and do not forget to press the notification button and to get more information. Good day everyone, what a lovely day today, and here is Asean News with me, Vanessa. Malaysia excited when Langkawi reopens with domestic tourism bubble.
A plane carrying a group of Malaysian tourists is greeted with a water salute after touching down at the airport of holiday spot Langkawi Island as it reopened to fully vaccinate domestic travelers. The first batch of 159 travelers to arrive from Kuala Lumpur following months of lockdowns imposed nationwide to curb a surge in coronavirus cases.
My last holiday was last year, and I felt like for the past, I don't know how many months, countless months already, I feel I'm going to go mental also soon. So I feel very, very excited. I'm super happy, and I'm thankful that the government is so open about it that we can come and travel. Yeah.
Earlier this month, the Malaysian government announced Langkawi will be the first tourist site to reopen as part of a domestic tourism bubble with strict protocols in place to thwart the spread of the coronavirus. The plan is similar to introduced in Thailand, which started in the July reopening of Phuket, 220 kilometers north of Langkawi, to vaccinated foreign tourists. Malaysia has yet to invite foreign tourists to return.
Indonesia will reopen its border with the world after at least 70% of its target population received the first dose of vaccine.
Indonesia Health Minister says the country will consider reopening its border to the world after at least 70% of its targeted population received first dose of COVID-19 vaccine.
On the paper. So after that, then we can gradually open.
According to Budi Gunadi Sadikin, in an exclusive interview with Reuters, says the target may reach as early as November, and the country is expected to be relaxed by March 2022. His comment came as Indonesia resort island of Bali started to ease COVID-19 social restrictions, with the government beginning to formulate plans to allow foreign travel to resume. Indonesia is planning to vaccinate at least 208 million people from 12-year-old and above. Sadikin says the country hoped to rely mainly on locally made vaccine, adding that Indonesia is in talks with the World Health Organization to become the mRNA vaccine production hub after South Africa. WHO says it is setting up a tech transfer hub in South Africa to give companies from poor and middle-income countries to know-how and licenses to manufacture mRNA vaccines, the advanced technology now used in shots from Pfizer and Moderna, in as little as 9 to 12 months. Over 4 million COVID-19 cases were confirmed in Indonesia, making it one of the worst-hit Asia countries by the pandemic. But cases in the biggest Southeast Asian nation of 270 million people have declined significantly in the past month after peaking in mid-July.
China and South Korea promise to boost bilateral ties.
South Korean President Moon Jae-in and Foreign Minister Wang Yi agreed to boost the bilateral ties and strengthen cooperation, trade and environmental protection. South Korea supports China in hosting the 2022 Beijing Winter Olympic Games and appreciates China's contributions to maintain peace on the Korean Peninsula. Moon hopes that China will continue to play a constructive role in the Korean Peninsula issue. The Chinese-South Korea relations have maintained a sound momentum of development, and the friendship has been further deepened through joint efforts to fight the pandemic. China is willing to maintain high-level exchanges with South Korea, strengthen cooperation in economy, trade, culture, and environmental protection, and expand friendly people-to-people exchanges. China firmly supports both South Korea and Democratic People's Republic of Korea in improving relations and will continue to play a constructive role in realizing peace and stability on the Korean Peninsula.
Chinese research team reveals complete Delta transmission chain.
A research team from Guangzhou City in East China Guangdong Province reveals the complete transmission chain of Delta mutant through a combination of epidemiological and viral genome sequencing technology. The team used a multi-azimuth approach to depict the transmission viral kinetics and clinical characteristics of the emergent Delta variant in outbreaks in the southern city. The research paper was published on September 12 on eClinical Medicine, a sub-issue of The Lancet. According to previous epidemiological investigations and viral nucleic acid gene sequencing, that the COVID-19 outbreak beginning in May South China was caused by Delta strain and has a clear chain of transmission. The study tracked and fully reported the clear chain of transmission of this outbreak for the first time. The outbreak began when a 75-year-old woman was exposed to the virus accidentally and infected another 3 people through close family contact or gatherings. According to the observation results of the researchers, the main route transmission of the virus in this outbreak was direct or indirect close contact. The researchers find that the incubation period of the Delta strain is short, with faster spreading speed. Further subgroup analysis showed that in the non-severe case group, the virus incubation period, 4.0 days, of the Delta mutant strain was significantly shorter than that of the wild-type strain, 6.0 days. Delta mutant strain can be transmitted for 4 generations within 10 days, and the fastest intergenerational transmission occurs within 24 hours. The researchers also find that among elderly patients aged 60 and over, the Delta variant has a 1.45 times higher risk of causing critical illness than the wild-type strain. In addition, the infection with Delta strain develops into a critical illness 2.98 times faster than the wild strain.
An earthquake hit China's Sichuan province with magnitude 6.0.
它只发生了一次2.8级的地震，这个地震是在4点55分的时候发生的。
According to the state broadcaster CCTV, that an earthquake of magnitude 6.0 struck Sichuan province in China. Xinhua says Sichuan's earthquake relief headquarters activated a level 2 response to the second highest in China 4th-tier emergency response system. Footage from CCTV shows the moment of quake in a car park and the aftermath in a supermarket. Rescuers are also seen sifting through debris. According to the China Earthquake Network's center, the epicenter was 29.2 degrees north latitude and 105.34 degrees east longitude. The quake struck at a depth of 10 kilometers, 6 miles, and took place at 4:33 a.m.
International Criminal Court approves formal investigation on drug war.
Judges at the International Criminal Court approves a formal investigation into possible crimes against humanity allegedly committed under the leadership of Philippine President Rodrigo Duterte in the context of his war on drugs. The ICC in a statement says that judges had approved a request by prosecutors to begin the investigation into potential murder as a crime against humanity. Judges' assessments of material presented by prosecutors that the so-called war on drugs campaign cannot be seen as a legitimate law enforcement operation, but rather amounted to a systematic attack on civilians. Human rights groups accuse Duterte of inciting deadly violence and say police have murdered unarmed drug suspects on a massive scale as part of the campaign. Police deny this, and Duterte says the police are under orders to kill only in self-defense. The government in Manila could not immediately be reached for a reaction. Although the Philippines has withdrawn from the membership of the ICC, it was a member between July 26 and March 29, the period covered by the prospective investigation. The judge says the relevant crimes appear to have continued after that.
Business Insured reopens for fully vaccinated residents after lockdown restrictions are relaxed in Manila.
The Philippines' capital region eased coronavirus restrictions, allowing restaurants, churches, and personal care establishments to reopen after nearly a month of being closed. Our staff are fully vaccinated. It's better than everyone is vaccinated to guarantee that everyone is safe. A salon supervisor says the place won't accept clients who only have the first dose.
Vaccination card, yes, required po.
We require vaccination cards. We don't accept clients who have gotten just their first dose. They must be fully vaccinated.
First dose lang po, dapat fully vaccinated.
The government also launches a pilot test of localized lockdowns, in which different alert levels designate the range of businesses allowed to operate. Outdoor dining at 30% capacity and indoor dining for small groups of fully immunized people is now allowed in Manila under the current alert level. Religious gatherings and personal care services are allowed to have up to 30% of building capacity. The government data shows the capital region, an urban sprawl of 16 cities that is home to 13 million people, is the country's coronavirus epicenter, accounting for a third of cases and 1 in every 4 deaths. 3/5 of the area's population have already been fully vaccinated against COVID-19.
South Korea and Australian foreign ministers call for dialogue with North Korea after missile test.
The South Korean and Australian foreign ministers calls for a dialogue with North Korea after reports of its latest missile test. The North States media reports that it had carried out successful tests of a new long-range cruise missile over the weekend, seen by analysts as possible of the country's first such weapon with a nuclear capability. Resumption of nuclear missile activities by North Korea clearly shows that it is urgent to have engagement and dialogue with North Korea to find a fundamental solution to such problems.
시급하다는 것을 잘 보여주는 것이라고 저희는 봅니다.
And regarding the announcement that North Korea has conducted long-range cruise missile launches over the weekend, I don't intend to speculate on what the intentions might have been with those launches, but I would reiterate Australia's consistent statements that have called on the DPRK to make a sustained commitment to talks with each of the Republic of Korea and with the United States.
According to the Australian government, Payne and Dutton are visiting Seoul to hold meetings with their South Korean counterparts to discuss bilateral ties and improving relationships in the Indo-Pacific region.
Protesters taken away outside Evergrande, China headquarters by security personnel.
Security personnel in the Chinese city of Shenzhen take away protesters who gather outside the headquarters of the cash-strapped real estate developer China Evergrande Group. The country's second biggest property developer is wrestling with a liquidity crisis, scrambling to raise funds as it teeters between a messy meltdown with a far-reaching impacts, a managed collapse, or a government bailout. Disgruntled Evergrande investors, as well as vendors who say they are owed money, have gathered this week at the company headquarters in the southern city and reportedly elsewhere in China. Uniformed security could be seen detaining at least 2 among about 24 protesters and forming a circle around those who remained, locking arms so that no one could leave while the 2 were taken away. Security personnel responded to sporadic chants of Evergrande "Give us our money back" by waving a banner, and police are collecting evidence while an officer filmed the protesters who were shouting. During a thunderstorm, a crying woman who was sitting among remaining protesters and approaching security personnel was carried away to a nearby police van. Reuters reports that about 100 protesters crowded into the company's lobby that day to demand repayment of loans and financial products.
Prime Minister of Japan strongly condemns North Korea's launch of ballistic missiles.
Japanese Prime Minister, if the launch of a possible ballistic missile threatens the peace and security of our country and the region, and it's outrageous. We will hold an emergency National Security Committee meeting later today. We will work closely with the United States, South Korea and other related countries, and we will firmly protect people's life and peaceful livelihoods. This is all from me. His remark came after the South Korean military says that North Korea fired a pair of ballistic missiles off its east coast. Japan's Coast Guard also reports an object that could be a ballistic missile was fired from North Korea that landed outside its exclusive economic zone. Suga says he will hold an emergency National Security Committee meeting to discuss the launches.
And that's the whole news for today. Stay safe, stay healthy. Bye for now.